Captain Raylan's ship was no longer flying. It was burning. The flames had stopped, but the smoke was still rising behind him as he limped across the glowing alien jungle. His left arm was bleeding, and his communication device was broken. He was completely alone, a planet that wasn't even marked on the star maps. He had been flying a routine patrol mission when a strange energy wave had hit his ship. The controls went wild, the engines failed, and he crashed through the clouds of this mysterious world. He should have died. But somehow, the ship held together long enough for him to survive now. The only sounds were the wind blowing through giant blue trees and the strange humming from the ground. The air smelled like flowers and ash. He was breathing without a helmet. That meant the atmosphere was safe. For now, but the planet didn't feel friendly. Raylan walked slowly, carefully. His eyes scanned the shadows. The plants moved like they were alive. Some even followed him with their petals. The light here was strange like twilight, even though there was no sun in the sky, only 3 large moons that floated above the glowing clouds. Suddenly, he heard a sound. Not wind. Not an animal. A voice, feminine, soft, curious, lost, ... human. Raylan froze. His hand went to his waist, only to remember his weapon was destroyed in the crash. He turned, slowly. There was no one, just more trees. He stepped backward. A laugh echoed around him. It wasn't threatening. It was almost playful. Raylan narrowed his eyes. "Who's there?" he said loudly. Another laugh, then silence. He took a deep breath and kept walking, this time faster. His goal was to reach higher ground, maybe find a signal. But the more he walked, the more the jungle changed. The trees bent away from his path, like they were making room for him. The ground was soft, almost like it was breathing. Then, out of nowhere, a glowing arch appeared in front of him, made of crystal vines and floating stones. It wasn't natural. It was built. Someone lived here. Raylan stepped through it and saw her, an alien girl, standing near a glowing lake. Her skin shimmered like polished stone, and her hair floated around her like strands of energy. Her eyes silver with violet rings locked onto his. She wore a skin-tight suit that pulsed with soft blue lights and patterns. She looked young, graceful, but powerful. She smiled. "You're brave, human. Most don't come this far," she said. Raylan didn't move. His heart was racing. Was she real? Was she dangerous? "I didn't mean to land here," he said carefully. "My ship crashed." She tilted her head. "I know," he frowned. "You've been watching me?" She nodded, stepping closer. "Since you fell from the sky, wanted to see what kind of creature would crawl out of a burning star." Raylan didn't know what to say. Her presence was magnetic. Not just because of how she looked, but something deeper. Something in the way she spoke. Confident, calm, like she was in full control. "This planet," he said, "is it yours?" She chuckled softly. "Not mine alone. It belongs to the old ones, to the ones who sleep below. You shouldn't be here, human. This place is forbidden." Raylan felt cold. "Then why haven't you killed me?" The alien girl stepped close, just a few feet away now. Her eyes sparkled. "Because I'm curious," she said with a teasing smile, and maybe a little bored. Raylan blinked. That wasn't the answer he expected. "What do you want from me?" he asked, his voice low. She leaned in slightly, her tone playful. "I could ask you the same," she whispered. "But for now, follow me. If you want to survive this place, you'll need more than your courage." Raylan didn't trust her. But something told him this planet was filled with worse things than her . So he followed, not knowing that this moment would change his fate forever. Raylan didn't sleep that night. Not because he wasn't tired, but because she wouldn't let him. The alien girl moved like she was made of starlight and secrets. She didn't speak much, not unless she wanted to tease him. She walked ahead through the glowing jungle as if she owned every shadow, every breeze, every whisper in the leaves. She never gave him her name. Instead, she called him by his own. Raylan, she would say, almost like a song. Why do you look so serious all the time? You survived a crash, you should be celebrating. But Raylan wasn't here to play games. Where are you taking me? He asked again. She stopped, near a strange tree with floating petals, then slowly turned to him. Her silver eyes glowed in the dim air like tiny stars. That was the first time he saw them up close, and they weren't just eyes. They were alive. They moved inside like galaxies turning slowly. To a place where no human has ever stood, she said softly. To a place even my kind fear. Raylan's breath caught. Then why are you going there? She smiled a slow, knowing smile. Because I'm not like the others, and maybe neither are you. He didn't understand her, not fully. But something about her felt ancient and young at the same time. She spoke in riddles, but her presence was real. He couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't just another alien. She was something more. They reached a cliff by dawn. From the edge, Raylan saw a massive crater covered in ruins and glowing. Blue fog, strange black pillars rose from the ground in spiral shapes. It looked like a battlefield and a graveyard. Giant statues of alien warriors stood broken among the ruins, half buried in moss and crystal. What is this place? He asked, her voice dropped low. The resting ground of the first stars, she whispered. Before my people ruled the skies, the ones who made us fought here. They left their power behind, locked beneath the earth. My people sealed it. We were told to never return. Raylan turned to her. So why bring me? She looked at him with those galaxies. Because you're the first human I've seen who didn't run from the unknown, and I'm tired of running from rules. She walked toward the edge of the crater. Raylan followed as they stepped onto the ruined stone floor. A low hum filled the air. The ground responded to their presence. Ancient symbols lit up under their feet. The statues seemed to watch them with empty eyes. Raylan's hand twitched toward his empty side where his weapon should have been. She glanced at him. Still, don't trust me. He didn't answer. She grinned. Good trust is dangerous here. They entered a broken temple, walls covered in glowing runes. Inside, the air was warmer, heavier. Raylan saw Mural's aliens locked in war with something dark, something massive. But one thing kept repeating in the images of figures standing between two worlds. Always a single being. Always alone. That looks like a human, Raylan said quietly. She nodded. Maybe that's why the planet let you live. He turned. Let me. She walked past him, brushing her shoulder against his. Her voice was a whisper. This place is alive, Raylan. You didn't just crash here. You were called. Raylan didn't believe in fate. He believed in systems, in physics, in training. But standing here with her, he wasn't so sure anymore. What's your name? He asked finally. She stopped walking, then turned, smiling softly. You wouldn't be able to pronounce it. I raised an eyebrow. She laughed. But I once had a human friend, she said slowly. Long ago, he called me Vena. I liked it. Vena, Raylan repeated. It fit her somehow. She walked closer, her eyes catching the faint light. You still don't know why you're here, she said. I'm starting to think it's not about my ship anymore, he answered. Vena tilted her head, stepping into his space. Her voice dropped to a gentle whisper. No, she said. It's about what's inside you, and what this planet wants to awaken. Raylan stared at her, unsure whether to run nor lean closer. Then she smiled again. That same teasing, wicked smile. What else do you expect to receive from me? Human. And in that moment, Raylan realized he was in far deeper than he ever planned. And this was just the beginning. Raylan woke up with the taste of metal in his mouth and the echo of a dream that didn't belong to him. He had slept on a smooth stone floor inside the temple, wrapped in a strange warmth that wasn't fire. The walls around him still pulsed, faintly with ancient blue light. Vena was already awake, sitting silently on a broken pillar, eyes closed, skin glowing faintly as if she was listening to something deep beneath the planet. For a moment, she didn't seem like a girl at all. She looked like a goddess in waiting. When she finally opened her eyes, she spoke without looking at him. It started. Raylan sat up. What started? She stood slowly and turned to face him. The trial. The planet has accepted your presence. Now it wants to test you. Raylan frowned. Test me? For what? She walked over to a wide circle carved into the stone. Strange alien symbols lined its edge. She waved her hand over it, and the center began to glow, forming shapes monsters, storms, flames, and finally, a crown made of light. It wants to see if you are worthy to carry what was buried here, she said softly. Power left behind by the first ones. It was never meant for us, but humans. Perhaps you are the key. Raylan stood up. I didn't sign up for this. I crashed. That's all. Vena's eyes sparkled with amusement. That's what fate looks like, Raylan. Accidents are just chapters we don't see coming. He stepped toward her. If I refuse, her smile faded. Then the planet will swallow you whole. Raylan stared at the glowing circle. So what are the rules? He asked. Vena smiled again, low and dangerous. No weapons, no lies. Number. Running Raylan raised an eyebrow. That's it. She walked past him, her voice low. And no falling in love with your guide. Raylan blinked. Excuse me? She laughed softly but didn't stop walking. Come, human. The trial begins. At twilight, they walked together through the ruins, the jungle slowly giving way to black stone paths and ancient doors carved into hills. Vena explained little. Only that 3 tasks would appear shaped by Raylan's thoughts, fears, and choices. This planet listens, she said. It watches your heart. The first challenge came as the sky dimmed to purple. They stepped into a clearing where stone soldiers stood in a perfect circle. In the center, a single pedestal held a mirror. Not just any mirror, showed Raylan not as he was, but as something twisted. His reflection was taller, stronger, colder dressed, in black armor with glowing red eyes. It spoke before he could blink. You think you're brave, the reflection said, but you left your squad behind. You crashed because you were weak. Raylan stepped back. Vena didn't help. This is part of the trial, she said softly. You must face yourself. The reflection kept speaking. It knew things. Things Raylan hadn't told anyone. His doubts, his guilt. The mission he failed 3 years ago. The people he lost. It hit him like a knife every time it spoke. You deserve nothing, it said finally. Not respect, not redemption. Not. Raylan clenched his fists. Then he stepped forward and shattered the mirror with a punch. The soldiers vanished. The reflection faded, and Vena smiled. You passed the first rule. She whispered. Raylan wiped sweat from his brow. What rule? No lies, she said. Even to yourself. They camped that night near a quiet spring. The air was thick with energy, like a storm waiting to strike. Vena sat close, her gaze on the moons above. You didn't ask why I'm helping you, she said suddenly. Raylan looked at her. Because you enjoy teasing me, she chuckled. That too. But mostly. I want to see if a human can do what no one else could. He leaned forward, and if I can? Her voice dropped low, almost like a whisper meant for the stars. Then, maybe, I'll finally be free. Raylan didn't ask what she meant. Some answers, he realized, had to be earned. And the real trial had only just begun. The fire was small, but it cast long shadows. Raylan sat near it, staring into the flames. The night around him was darker than anything he had known before. There were no stars in this part of the jungle, just thick mist, silent trees, and the sound of distant whispers like the planet itself was breathing. Vena was silent too. She sat across from him, her arms wrapped around her knees, eyes glowing softly in the dim light. Her skin shimmered faintly, like it was catching the firelight from inside. She hadn't spoken since the second trial appeared and vanished hours ago, a puzzle of light and memory that nearly broke Raylan's mind. I saw my brother, he finally said. His voice cracked slightly. Vena didn't move. In the trial, he died on a mission 5 years ago. But in there, he blamed me. She looked up slowly. Her voice was quiet. Eridu, did you blame yourself? Raylan nodded. Every day. A pause. Then she said, that's why the trial used him. He looked at her now. You said this place listens. But what does it want from me? She tilted her head, studying him. It wants to know if you're real. Real, not the soldier, not the uniform. The man underneath. Raylan swallowed hard. And you? Why are you really helping me? Vena smiled, but it was softer this time. No teasing. No games. Because I was tested once. 2. I failed. He leaned forward. Surprised you? But you're, she held up a hand. Not invincible. Not untouched. I was born into power, trained to lead, told I was chosen. But when the planet called me, I broke. I couldn't face what it showed me. What did it show you? Raylan asked gently. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Love and loss. He didn't press further. The silence between them grew warmer instead of cold. He noticed the way she looked at him, not like a test subject anymore, but like someone she saw, someone she didn't expect, but didn't want to let go of now. And then she moved. She stood slowly, walked to his side of the fire, and sat beside him close enough that her shoulder brushed his. Raylan didn't move. She looked at him, her eyes catching the firelight. You're not like the others, she said. He gave a small smile. You keep saying that, because it's true. Her voice lowered. You don't demand. You don't pretend. You listen. Even when you don't understand. Raylan looked into her eyes. And you don't scare me. Not even when you try. That made her laugh, quiet and honest. I wasn't trying, she said softly. If I tried, you'd never sleep again. Grinned. Now you sound like the girl who tricked me into walking into a trial zone. She leaned closer. Would you do it again? Raylan nodded. Yes. The space between them became smaller. Her voice was barely a breath. What else do you expect to receive from me, human? Raylan stared at her. I didn't come here expecting anything, he whispered. But now? I don't want to leave without you. She closed her eyes briefly. Like his words hurt in a way she didn't expect. You don't know what you're saying, she whispered back. My kind doesn't love the way humans do. And if we do, we burn. Then burn with me, he said. For a moment. Everything was still. Then she touched his hand. Just gently. Just enough. And in that touch was a promise neither of them fully understood yet, but both felt deep in their bones. But the moment shattered. A sudden tremor shook the ground beneath them. Vena pulled back instantly, eyes glowing sharp now. Something's coming, she said. Raylan stood quickly. What is it? She looked toward the trees. The third trial. He grabbed the small pack he carried, heart still racing this time, not just from the quake, but from her touch. Vena looked at him one last time before they ran. Her voice carried on the wind. "If we survive this, I'll tell you my real name." And then they disappeared into the dark. Together. The storm didn't come from the sky, it rose from the ground. Raylan and Vena ran through the jungle as the earth cracked behind them. Glowing fissures spread like veins, lighting the dark trees with pulses of red. The air turned hot, thick, and electric. Trees screamed. Rocks hummed. The planet was no longer sleeping. This was the third trial. "Where are we going?" Raylan shouted as glowing dust blew into his face. Vena didn't answer. She was moving fast, her body glowing brighter with every step. Her hair floated wildly behind her like strands of flame. She wasn't just guiding him now, she was protecting him. Raylan felt it. Something was rising. Something old. Something alive. They reached a hidden cavern behind a waterfall of golden plasma. Inside, the temperature dropped instantly. The air was cool, still, and the sound of the storm faded into distant thunder. Raylan leaned against a crystal wall, catching his breath. "What is happening?" he asked. Vena stood still for a moment, eyes closed. "The final trial is different for everyone," she said. "But this one, it's not yours alone. It's ours." Raylan stepped closer. "What do you mean?" She opened her eyes and looked at him. "The planet doesn't just test your strength or fears. It tests your heart. It wants to know what binds us. Why two different beings would stand together against the impossible." She stepped even closer, her voice lowering. "This trial is about us." Raylan's chest tightened. Before he could speak, the cave began to shift. The walls turned into mirrors, but these were different from before. They didn't show reflections. They showed memories. On one side, Raylan saw himself as a boy alone, crying beside a wrecked home. On another, he saw his brother, smiling before that final mission. Then he saw himself meeting Vena. That first moment, her teasing voice, her strange beauty, her eyes, and in the center vision of the two of them standing back to back, holding hands, surrounded by light and fire. Vena saw her own memories, her coronation, the cold faces of her people, her training, her fall during her trial, and a vision of her reaching for Raylan in the dark. Raylan looked at her. "Why is it showing us these things?" Vena whispered. "Because this is what the planet needs to see. What we need to see." Suddenly, the air grew warmer again. The cave turned red, and a voice deep, ancient, and echoing from every wall spoke in a language neither of them knew, but both understood. One must be chosen. One must be offered. Raylan stepped back. Offered? What does that mean? Vena went silent. Raylan turned to her. "Vena." She looked at him, pain in her eyes. "I thought we could pass together," she said softly. "But I was wrong. This trial demands a price." Raylan stepped forward. "Then take me. Let me pay it." But she shook her head. "No, Raylan. You were called here. You're the key. I'm just the guide." He grabbed her hand. "No. We do this together. No sacrifice. No one dies." She stared at him, her voice trembling now. "You don't understand. If we both live, the power sleeps again. The galaxy stays broken." Raylan's grip tightened. "Then let it break. I didn't come this far to lose you." Silence. Only their breathing. Only their heartbeats. Then she did something unexpected. She kissed him. It wasn't planned. It wasn't slow. It was full of heat, fear, hope, and something wild neither of them could name. When she pulled back, her voice cracked. "Your heartbeat is louder than the trial. Raylan touched her face gently, then listened to it. Stay with it. Stay with me. The cave began to collapse. The mirrors shattered, and the voice spoke again angrier. Now, but something was changing. The walls no longer responded to the voice. They responded to them, to the heartbeat they shared, to the connection that had formed not by blood, not by race, but by choice. And the heat vanished. The storm outside ended. The ground stilled. Vena looked around, breathless. You changed the trial. Raylan looked down at their still connected hands. No, he said. We did. The sky had never looked so still. Raylan stood beside Vena at the top of a crystal ridge, watching the horizon shimmer with quiet light. The storm had passed. The jungle no longer pulsed with danger, and the trials, they had ended. But peace never felt this heavy. Vena was silent. Her fingers clutched a small pendant around her neck. Raylan hadn't noticed before. It glowed faintly, shaped like a spiral sun. Ancient, important. He looked at her. You haven't said much since the cave. She didn't meet his eyes. Because the trial isn't over. Raylan frowned. What do you mean? We passed. Together. That was the point, right? She finally turned to him. No, Raylan, she said, her voice soft but sharp. That was only the door. He stepped closer. Then what lies behind it? She took a deep breath and told him everything. I wasn't just your guide. I wasn't just watching your crash. I was the reason it happened. Raylan froze. What? Atena's voice cracked. I summoned your ship. I sent the pulse that pulled it out of the sky. The words hit him like ice. You crashed me here, he said slowly. She nodded, eyes full of regret. I chose you, Raylan, before you ever knew I existed. Raylan took a step back, heart pounding. Why? She looked away. Because the planet demanded a human. One untouched by politics. One brave, one honest. The old code said only such a human could unlock the heart of the world. The what? He whispered. She pointed behind him. Raylan turned. In the distance between two silver mountains, a structure rose. It had no visible walls, just a massive sphere of golden light hovering above the ground. Rings of energy rotated around it slowly. Beneath it, hundreds of sleeping alien statues knelt in perfect silence. That's the heart, Vena said. It holds power that could restore broken worlds, or destroy them. The first ones locked it away because they feared its judgment. Raylan's throat tightened. And you brought me here. To wake it? She nodded again. I didn't want to lie, she said. But the trial wouldn't accept you if you came for power. You had to come with nothing. Only then would the planet reveal itself. Raylan clenched his fists. So all of this was a trap. No, she said, stepping toward him. It was a hope. I didn't know we'd grow close. I didn't plan. But the planet saw it. That's why it changed. That's why the trial responded. Raylan stared at the glowing heart. So much made sense now. Why the planet kept him alive. Why she knew his name. Why every step felt guided. He looked at her. Again, you should have told me. I was afraid, she said softly. If I told you too soon, you'd never trust me. And I needed to believe you were the right one. Raylan turned away. His heart felt heavy, betrayed, confused. But he also understood her fear. She had risked everything to bring him here, her name, her honor, her life. And somewhere in between the lies, she had fallen for him too. He looked back. What happens now? Vena stepped beside him. Now you step into the heart. Alone. Raylan raised an eyebrow. And you. If the heart accepts you, she whispered, I will be erased. His chest froze. What? She smiled sadly. I broke the rules. Guides are never meant to interfere. And I did more than interfere. Raylan's voice shook. Then I won't go in. I won't lose you. She touched his face gently. If you don't go, the galaxy stays broken. The worlds stay dying. Millions suffer. Raylan grabbed her hand. There must be another way. There isn't. Tears welled in her starry eyes. You were meant to save the world, Raylan. I was meant to lead you there. That's all. He pulled her close. No, that's not all. They stood together, pressed against time itself. And then without a word, he turned and walked toward the heart. Each step was heavy, each breath a question. But he knew one thing. He wasn't walking into that light to save the world. He was walking in to rewrite the rules. The light swallowed him whole. Raylan stepped into the heart of the world, and for a moment there was nothing but silence. No wind, no breath, no fear. Just light warm, endless, and alive. He couldn't feel his body anymore. A sea of gold, weightless and still. Then he heard the voice. Not loud. Not sharp, but deep, ancient, like the sound of 1,000 stars whispering together. Who are you? Raylan hesitated. He thought of many things: his rank, his failures, his name. But none of those felt right. So he answered honestly. I'm just someone who chose not to walk away. The light pulsed gently. What do you seek? He saw her face in his mind, Vanna, her teasing smile, her trembling voice, her strength, her sacrifice. I seek a future where she still exists, he said quietly. The light dimmed, then brightened again. She broke the law of the world. I know, he said, but she saved me. And she made me believe in something again. One must be erased. Razel clenched his fists. Then take me. Silence. Then you would trade your life for hers. Raylan nodded, without hesitation. The light trembled. She chose to guide you. I know. You chose to follow. Yes. You both chose love. In a world that forbids it. Raylan's voice cracked. So rewrite the world. A long pause. Then very well. There was no pain. No sound. Only one final flash of light. Then, darkness. Outside the heart, Vanna collapsed to her knees. She had felt it. His entry, his choice. And now? The silence. She whispered his name once. Then again, nothing. The sky remained still. The jungle didn't breathe, and she knew he was gone. Tears slipped down her glowing cheeks. She had lied. She had betrayed. She had loved. And in the end, she had lost. But as she lowered her head, the ground beneath her began to hum. She looked up. The heart was changing. Its golden shell cracked, not breaking, but unfolding, like a flower made of stars. And from within, a figure walked out, not glowing, not floating, just human. Raylan, alive. But changed. His eyes held galaxies now. His skin glowed faintly with ancient light. He was still him, but more. Vanna stared. Frozen Raylan. She whispered. He smiled. You said I couldn't change the rules? She stood, heart racing. How? He walked up to her, cupped her face gently. I told the heart the truth, he said softly. That love is the only power worth protecting. She laughed a laugh full of disbelief and wonder. You should be dead, she said. I was, he replied. But the heart made a new rule. What rule? He kissed her forehead. That those who choose each other write fate. The world around them began to glow. The sky turned gold. The jungle bloomed with colors never seen before. The heart pulsed once more, then vanished. Its gift had been given. Raylan looked at Vena. Her voice trembled. So what now? He smiled, holding her hand. Now, we live together, and the planet sang.